Hello, Internet! I am Chris Reynolds, Senior Manager of Developer Relations at Pantheon, and today on the stream we're going to be talking about continuous integration, something I get really disproportionately excited about for no apparent reason. About a year ago, Steve Persh and I started working on what would eventually become the push to Pantheon GitHub Action. And at the time, we were working with the native GitHub integration, and we realized that there were a bunch of use cases for CI and testing that couldn't really be covered the same way by the GitHub application. So I'm excited to be here today with Elda Sheffield from UC Santa Barbara to look at what they're doing with the action and dig into their pipelines. Welcome to the stream, Elda.
Thank you, Chris, for inviting me to present our test suite.
Yeah.
Yes, as Chris mentioned, my name is Elda Sheffield. I work at the UCSB and manager in the IT department. I work with a team of several developers maintaining the main string that is behind at least 500 or 600 websites. We're using Drupal 10 at the moment. So a year ago, we were required to be ADA compliant. And this is a mandate that has legal implications if we're not compliant. So we start looking into ways to integrate accessibility tests into our suite. So every time we release code, the code is pushed to all the sites. It's going to be accessible. It's going to pass the quality test. Just to give you an example, we use ScienceProof to do accessibility checks for all the sites we have, individual sites, and we start noticing a pattern. Like you have 400 pages that has the same accessibility issue that was introduced with the string, for example, in the footer of the subtheme we're using. So that's we start deciding, okay, we need a way to do this, find out these accessibility issues earlier in the process. Another story. A year ago, actually not a year ago, like at the end of last year, Paul McCartney came to give a concert in Santa Barbara, at the Santa Barbara Bowl. There was a blind user who tried to get a ticket online, not on our side, of course, and he was unable to complete the checkout. So yes, the venue was totally accessible, but the checkout process didn't work. So that was also what made us think, oh, we need to be sure our sites are fully accessible, right?
Yeah.
So that's what actually allow us to say, okay, this is important. We need to be sure we keep the humans in the loop. That's we were at a keynote last week and someone said, keep the humans in the loop. So although I'm going to present some automation we did today, it is important you remember that human testing needs to happen at the same time. You need to be sure the sites are keyboard accessible, that you can do the users that have low vision, if you zoom the screen, they're able still to read what is in the screen. So this is for accessibility. Now, what it refers to custom code quality, you need to be sure that every custom module, every custom thing you're designing is gonna be like a good code, right? So that's why we named the presentation today "Deploy Without the Drama." So how can we identify these issues earlier in the process before it goes out to many sites? So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to jump in really quick too. Talk about like the framing, like how, like you said, you're mostly, this is built for your upstream. So I'm assuming that these pipelines are running on the upstream repository, and then you have automation or a workflow that would then deploy those changes in the upstream to all of your 400 whatever 500 downstream sites. Yeah.
Yes. So the suite is going to be, so you can run it at the individual sites, and you can also run it for your string. The test suite can also be adapted to be used by other systems, at least the accessibility portion. But basically, we're creating custom Drush commands that you can run locally that runs the exact same test as you're going to push to the pipeline, to the string. When you push it to the pipeline, the GitHub, in this case, we're using GitHub and we're using Pantheon's push to Pantheon GitHub Actions. The workflow is straightforward. Push it to, open your PR. The PR is gonna use the push to Pantheon's GitHub Actions to fire up a multi-dev environment from test sites. This is where it gets interesting. When I first look at the Pantheon actions, the Pantheon system actions, it was designed for an individual site, only one site.
Mm-hmm.
So we were thinking, how can we make it work for more than one site? So in this case, GitHub has what is called a metrics, where you can specify, okay, I want to run jobs in parallel for this site, for this other site. So that's how we make it work, the push to Pantheon action to create multi-dev for two different demo sites that we handle. Why do we have two demo sites? Because we have a subset of sites that are exporting config to code, that are using media module. We have another subset that uses the file system. They don't use media. So we needed a way to allow to test both subthings. Normally you will have only a single thing. That should be straightforward. But in this case, we use this metrics approach to run the push to Pantheon in parallel. So that means we're firing up these two jobs, one for one thing, one for the other sub thing, and they're going to create two different multi-dev. So that's kind of like the workflows. Once the multi-dev are created, we push the code, we regenerate the sitemap, because we do need the sitemap to run accessibility tests. Then the first test we run is we have some also tests to identify if there are any secrets exposed. Then we do the code linting, we do the unit testing, and then we start doing the accessibility test, because those takes longer. So that's basically the workflow. Once the accessibility complete, it creates an HTML report. It's a unified report that shows everything in a single place, so you don't have to go to different logs to look at the results of your test. So it's a user-friendly report that allows you to focus on remediation. You iterate, you work locally, run the Drush commands, fix it, iterate, rerun the commands. When you feel confident, then push to your PR, to GitHub, let the suite finish, and then you can merge the code. And that code goes out to the many sites. So this is for the workflow locally, and then also in the upstream.
Yeah, let's take a look. I know you've got a slide of sort of like diagrams, what the flow looks like.
So here is a quick diagram. What I mentioned before, you can run the test locally. You are going to use these custom commands. We call it utest because it's easy to remember. So you're going to run Drush utest. If you're running accessibility test, you're going to have individual tests. For example, for site improve. Oh, this is very important here. We integrated several accessibility engines because we noticed when we started learning about accessibility, each different engine returns different results.
Mm-hmm.
So SciImprove Alpha is not the same thing as the SciImprove application. SciImprove Alpha is a set of open source rules that this is actually the engine behind their automated scan on their application. We are also using the default ad score. We're using DQs ads. So DQs is the only paid version here. When they started, it was free to use for one project. Then around a few months ago, they canceled the free option to use. So the tests are not going to fail, but the functionality is there if you have an account with them. It gives you a very cool interface with diagrams and to review, the results of the test. We also have the part, the usual accessibility. And then what we're doing here is also including two more tests that the other engines cannot run. One of them is the refloat, and the other one is the meta viewport. So this is the one that has to do with zoom. If you're blind, you zoom, you don't see the full test. If you also when you zoom, if you get a horizontal, or when you reduce the screen to a mobile version, you get the horizontal scrolling. So those are going to fail the accessibility checks. For the code quality, it was similar. We noticed that you have to run different tools when you're checking your code, when you're reviewing your code. You have PHP-CS, you have ESLint, StyleLint. So what we're doing is grouping all these code quality tests into a single command.
Mm-hmm.
For security, we're doing the usual composer audit. Is there any Git leak secrets exposed? And then the PHP unit test or kernel test. So this is a full test suite that check for all of this. We created a unified command called Drush utest all that is going to run all the tests on your code. And then it's going to produce this HTML report and unified report. I don't know if Chris, if you would like me to show the code how it works, or is I should.
We do have a question from the chat. Josh is asking if you can run the Drush commands through Terminus.
Yes. So no, actually no. Sorry, wrong answer. So the problem is with Drush. Drush only works locally. You cannot run Terminus Drush in Pantheon because you cannot run the Node or the Playwright browsers in Pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
So Drush only works locally. Yeah. How do we make it work in the Circle CI? Is you just run the test lanes directly in GitHub. You do not run the Drush commands. You do not run Terminus Drush. So that's the only issue. But we're running the exact same test in GitHub. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've got so far. Yeah. If anybody has questions, feel free to jump in the chat. And yeah, let's see what it looks like.
Okay. So very quickly, the first time you set up the suite, you need to install your packages. You need to install the Playwright browsers. And then we have some commands we created to check if you're missing any configuration. So I'm going to show you how it works. So the very first command you're going to run is this one to verify that that your configuration is all set and that you're ready to start the test. One of the config could be, okay, what is your base URL for your local test environment? We have this website. I'm going to show you this website. We set up this homepage. We have some accessibility error here. We're putting a heading 4 above a heading 3. We also have another page to test the reflow. As I reduce the screen size, this test is going to show a horizontal scrolling. So let's see if the test suite identifies the issues. So I'm going to run the very first test is the accessibility test. Now that I know the config is passing. So this is locally. This is the first thing you do. You check out your local branch from your upstream or your individual site, and then you start doing the test. So you run Drush, you test, and just very simple, you say ads. Before that, if you need to know the available commands, you can do Drush help you test, and it's going to give you the list of tests you can run. So alpha is for the site improve alpha rules. The utest all runs the full suite. Ads is for the ads, the full ads accessibility test. Ads Watcher is the one for the paid version. If you have an API key, you can use it. And then the check config. This is for linting, for the meta test. So basically what I'm saying here is you can use individual commands to test the suite, target individual test. Another thing you need to be aware of is some of the tests, like a lint or PHP unit, you can target a specific custom modules or a subtheme, so it only scans that module. So let's start with the first test. Let's do some ads test to demo it. So this is locally, it's running the Drush commands. It's fetching the sitemap for my local site. It's gonna run the test, and it's gonna tell you, okay, this is what is happening, and it's gonna give you a report. I'm going to open the report. So this is how the report looks like. It's a basic HTML report that is going to tell you what is the profile. You can set out the profile you want to run. For our mandate, we just need to be WCAG 2.1 level AA compliant. but you can run any reports you want, and including comprehensive, which is run everything. It's only gonna fail the builds on critical and serious issues. Same in GitHub. Everything that is critical, serious, you need to handle. Moderate, minor, those can wait. So those are reported as advisory only. So these are, for example, is telling me heading levels, skip and step. So it's already saying, hey, your home page, you have this heading 4, and it's failing the accessibility, although it's moderate. Guess what? When I run alpha test, this one come out as a serious issue. So you can see the difference, how each engine handles accessibility issues differently. So that's the accessibility report. You just get, again, and run it just locally. Now let's do the reflow test. As simple as calling Drush, you test refloat. Oh, for each individual test, it's going to do a pre-flight check, just in case you're missing a package, you're missing some of the requirements you need to run the test. But if you run the check config at the beginning, you should be good once you're set up. So here again, same story. It's going to give you a report. If you open the report, you can see the reflow. The reflow only targets a single rule. Is this one. It's called the 1.4.10. Reflow at 320p. So when you resize your screen to 320, if you get the horizontal scroll, that's going to fail. So see, it's saying the page does not reflow. The document is 1215 wide, and it's telling you where and what page. So that way you can go and fix it.
Now, you said that it's a simple HTML report, but like the fact that like you're using all of these different tools, but the report that's being generated, or like the UI that I see from all these reports and how to get the information from each individual report is like you're concatenating, you're combining all of these different things, and I think that's it's you say simple, but like that's not simple. That's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
So here is thank you. So here is a good example. This is the unified report that has everything on it. So when you run the Drush all command, I'm not going to run it in case it takes longer, although it's pretty fast because I don't have any content in this demo site. It's going to tell you how many critical issues, how many serious. It's going to allow you to do filtering. I just want to target to that one level AA. I want to see only the serious issues. So it's going to do some filtering for you. And instead of doing the findings and writing these weird rules that we don't need to remember because there are too many, what we're doing is saying, okay, these rules, what is the impact on the user? Okay, screen reader users, I need to fix this because it's a serious issue that is going to affect, this type of user. Low vision users. So that's basically, what you can do. You can filter. You can see everything you get. It gives you all the results. So this is a unified report. This is everything, all the tests. It's going to fail on critical and serious. Moderate and minor are just advisory. And then it's going to provide links to detailed reports. So you can see for Science Proof Alpha, the as code, the part reports, the reflow, method, code quality, functional regression. So instead of you going to different separate places to read the results, you have it in this unified report. You also have JSON files. We're going to use the JSON files to feed this to generate the report when we're in Circle CI. That's what we use to generate the HTML report in GitHub. What we're doing for the reports is, since we created a multi-dev with the Pantheon actions, we're storing those reports as an HTML report under the files system in the multi-dev. When you merge your PR, everything is deleted, the multi-dev is deleted, the report is gone. Because this is only when you're reviewing your findings and trying to fix the issue for your stream. For the individual reports, it's you get everything that is happening, you get the reflow issues, you get the functional reports, and then you got the linting reports as well. So let's run one of the lint so you can see how it works. I don't know if there are any questions up to now.
Nope, we're good.
So we have Drush U test. I'm gonna lint, instead of run a lint for everything, I'm gonna run it for a specific module. So you can see how it works. You can target modules. You can also set your environment variables to specify what modules you want to run the test suite for. This test suite only targets your custom code, custom modules, custom themes, custom profiles. It's not going to run for the contribute because Drupal has their own way of testing their own code. It's not going to run for contribute modules. So this is just targeting your custom stuff. So for the module, let's see, one of the modules we have is called resource links. I run the linting. It's going to run it only for a module. So it's going to go all over the files, and I'm going to see, okay, any linting issues on anything, on the CSS, and the markdown files, in the PHP, anything. And then it's going to generate a report. So you can see the report here. And it's going to tell you it was one module. See, I'm not scanning everything else. 30 files in the module, 3 errors, 4 warnings. And then the linting also is going to provide some information that applies to the whole project. Like you're going to get some Drupal deprecation. This is going to be so useful when we start doing the migration to Drupal 11. Because you can see, okay, do I need to bump this version to Drupal 11 for my custom module? It's going to tell you when you have, you forgot to add reference to your libraries. The config hygiene, this is custom also. This one we designed is when you are creating custom module and you have your configuration for the installation of the module, sometimes you forget to remove the UUID or you remove certain, code variables. This thing is going to tell you, hey, this module needs to remove the UUID or you're going to have conflicts if you install it in a system size. It's going to check, some CSPL issues. See, here is complaining about other modules, any composer issues, deprecations, the markdown. So this is, again, applies to the whole project, but here is for our module. We just run it for one module. The report, which is a scope, is going to show for only this module. And then you drill down, you see no finding on those files. And then you go to the errors, and you can see what the errors are. And then you can read the warnings. You don't have to fix the warning, but it's nice to fix everything, right? So this is the audit. For PHP unit, we just run it, and it runs for whatever unit test you have. So what do we do next? We have a report. Any questions until now, so we can demo what happens next?
Yeah, let's see it on GitHub.
Now let's see it in GitHub. I have an example here in GitHub of a build that already ran. So GitHub run the same test. When it finishes, it's going to generate this, the GitHub Action bot. It's going to generate these comments for you. So you can see in one single place what is happening. For example, it's going to say, this one failed, overall status failed. This test failed. This one didn't run because we don't have a key. Remember, they cancel it. This one failed because it has critical and serious issues. The PAL failed, critical and serious issues. Reflow also, I have critical and serious issues. This one passed, and then we have this many code linting issues. Everything functionally passed. The test environment, and then it's going to give you the link to the individual reports. Exactly the same thing you saw locally. The same report you're going to see local, you're going to get it in the suite. It's going to tell you, there are some issues, you have to fix it. Now let me show you an example of also some validation we have in place. Pantheon, remember, has a limit of how many multi-dev you can have. Since we implemented the test suite, now the developers are working faster. They're creating PR faster, and we're running out of multi-dev. So basically, that's what is happening. So we reach out the number of multi-dev. Instead of failing the test, where we're saying, hey, it didn't fail, it just was not completed, because it couldn't generate the multi-dev to run the accessibility test. But it did run the code linting, it ran the regression test, because those doesn't care about, a sitemap.
Sure.
So this is basically another check. Locally, you also have checks in place. If your local site is not installed yet, it's going to flag it. If your local site is missing the sitemap, it's going to flag it. So there are little validation here and there, so you can be sure you got everything you need to run the test suite. These are the bots. This is, for example, the test. The first job that I run is the secrets scanning, the code linting, the functional test. Now, why this one shows as passing? The job pass doesn't mean the code linting test pass. Right now, code linting is just reporting purposes, so we can start fixing our issues. Because before we didn't have a test suite, now we do. Now we can see what is there. Sometimes it's better not
so you
to
don't
know
want to
what is
block
there.
deployment on linting issues when you're dealing with however many years of code that didn't have do any linting at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have test, nothing is failing, everything is great, right? Until some user contact us and say, hey, guess what? This is not working. So that's something to be aware of. So for the code linting, again, you're going to see, okay, the job passed, but doesn't mean the test didn't fail. It's just we are not failing the build for linting issues because we're trying to fix them as fast as we can.
Yeah.
Then we leave the accessibility testing last because the demo site has several pages. Something also to know about the accessibility testing. The default is targeting 50 pages, same for the local. We have parameters you can pass, variables you can pass to indicate, okay, test 200 pages, it's going to be slower. You can test all, it's going to be slower. If you're testing locally and your site has many pages, because that happens, you can run it in the background. So that's also set up to be running in the background. For the pipeline, we're targeting 50 pages. Again, we want a quick check, but you can adjust it in your files in your configuration for the CI automation. This is what happens in GitHub. Start running the test, set up node, check all the composite we need for running the Drupal site there, all the PHP dependencies, the Node.js, the playwright. Again, this is the part we cannot do with Terminus Drush because we cannot do this in Pantheon directly, right?
Yep.
So basically, that's why you need a container. That's why we're using the GitHub to run it. In the future, an ideal solution to run it from Pantheon instead of doing it in Pantheon is, what about if we're using AWS and we have EC2 and we have containers and we just grab the sitemap from Pantheon, run the test in that container, get the results, which is a report in HTML, so site builders can access those HTML reports without having to run to rely on the local Drush commands. Because remember, not everybody is a developer, not everybody has a local dev setup. So this is a future enhancement in the roadmap for the accessibility test suite. Before that happens, current roadmap, I'm mentioning now because it's also important, is this is only for the public visible page. It's only the front end. We're looking into how to run the suite for page behind login. That requires a privacy filter, because what happens is we also have sites that have sensitive PII information.
Right.
So that's important. So we're implementing now that portion. How can we test? Remember, when you have sensitive info, if you run accessibility test, the information is exposed in the DOM, and that's exposing your data.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Bad Camp last year and I was talking to some folks about accessibility testing, and they're talking about the same sort of thing about like we want to, like when you're doing accessibility testing for the admin, we add a data sanitization step where it like just scrubs any PII out of the data before the accessibility test run, because otherwise, you're
exactly.
You're storing it basically. You're doing the thing you're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly. And then remember, now with AI, everybody's trying to use AI to fix everything. So what is
then
happening?
You're using that. You're feeding AI this PII.
You're feeding AI the PII data.
Yeah.
Even if they say, oh, we have a contract, we're not using your data, sure, let's believe that. So you're going back to the GitHub. So we have the PR changes to the Multidev using the push to Pantheon. You can see it here. We're following their actions. The Multidev is set up. We run database updates, clear cache, set up the sitemap, and then we start the test. So we run exact same test we run locally, the site improve alpha. See, we're running many different accessibility engines to catch all the possible errors we can have there. The developer hub, the app score, the reflow, the viewport, the PAL accessibility. And then when it finishes, it will load all the test reports via SFTP to the Multidev, and then we can access the reports. When it completes, then it posts back to the test suite. You can see here in actions. For example, I'm going to show this one. This is work in progress. You can see the jobs. This is how it works. PR test is the GitHub setup configuration. So you do secret scanning, code linting, functional, and then the 2 job, which is the accessibility. You get also this information here in the actions. It's telling you what failed, what passed.
I love those summaries. I've been starting to do those summaries on the pipelines that I have too, and it's like so helpful to have like something at a glance, like yeah, not did the thing pass or fail, but specifically what passed and failed.
So that's the GitHub. Any questions there before I show what we do next?
No, you can keep checking.
Okay, so let's say you're testing your code locally, you run your test, you're trying to get your module fits all the issues. We have, and I'm going to call it optional AI skills we created that are going to use the reports generated from the test suite to help you remediate the issues. In this case, going to help you remediate the linting issues. Instead of doing it by hand or running other tools, you can use the AI. Why did I say optional? We're public institutions. Higher education, usually they don't have budget to pay for AI. They don't have a budget to pay for a license for each developer. So that's why you're able to run the test suite. You're able to use the report to read the findings, to fix your code without even using AI. So that's why it's designed like, okay, you want AI, you can plug it in if you have access to the AI. So the skills we created a set of prompts and skills to feed these reports. You see the report we're creating. So I'm going to run an example. Let's start with accessibility. Even AI is not going to fix the accessibility for us. I have a few prompts that I created here so we can save time. So I'm going to use this prompt, and I'm going to say summarize. Oh, let me show you here before I run this. So this is what we have. We have a Drupal audit. If you don't have the test suite, you can still use the skills to audit with the basic checks. There is a Drupal remediate, send a story, and Drupal ready. I like this prompt a lot. This prompt works with Claude. Prompt doesn't work with GitHub Copilot. So you'll remember, when you're using prompts. We have the skill working for GitHub Copilot currently. For Claude, we need to put it extended to OpenAI as well because they all use the same common structure, so it should be straightforward. We just ran out of time for that. So for this demo, we're going to use Claude. So we have, we're going to run this. You just need to pass the prompt. You don't need to call the skills. I say, summarize the findings from the reports we ran, and then explain what do you recommend to fix it. So we let the AI do the work.
And it's thinking about it.
It's thinking about it, but I'm telling, only work from the reports. Do not search everything.
Yeah, and it looks like it's already loaded the skill.
So it's using the Drupal accessibility audit. It's feeding the report. Sometimes when you're working in a custom module, the AI already know you're working on the custom module, and it's going to target the module directly if you don't specify. So this is the AI working. While the AI is doing the work, I'm going to fix one of those because the AI, again, is using the report. So let's fix this one. This is a refloat. Sorry, I have to increase the font in the screen so you can see it. So we have, I make it 1200, you see? So I'm gonna make 100 pixel, 100%. I'm gonna get rid of this, we don't need it. We just wanna see the thing is passing. So it's 100%, I save it. I have my reflow now, it should be fit. So the AI, while the AI is running, let it run. It looks like it's slow today. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna rerun the test for the manual fits I did for accessibility. Drush view test, refloat, it should come back clean. Because I just fixed it. As I open my report, it should say, hey, everything is clean now. See? So I just manually fix an accessibility issue at the stream level. Well, in this case, content, not at the stream level, but for my demo local site. So that's how it works. Let's see what the AI is doing and why Claude is taking so slow. And by the way, this is Fable. We should switch
that might
to...
be why.
So it's a lot. Okay, so
there it
are
goes.
results. It's giving you issues that it wasn't even there. It says page does not refloat. And it says custom content, replace the fits. We said, oh, look, I did it right. It says replace it with match with 100%.
Yep.
So it's telling you how to fix it. You go and fix it. Now let's do the one we run for the linting, right? I don't need that. So let's do the lint. Again, this is for my custom module. Let's say summarize the link finding for the resource link from this report, work from the report, prioritize and splits. So the AI is going to review it and it's going to tell you how to remediate. You just say fix it. It's going to fix what is safe to fix. And then you can rerun the suite again for the module until you get everything fixed.
Can you talk about how you created the skills? Did you have Claude write the skills, or did you have Claude start the skills and then you finish them? Like, what was the process?
So we have we're creating a GitHub private repo to host a skill for developers, and then we designed a CLAI to download those skills locally to synchronize it locally when we have new skills. So the way it works is you using Claude, of course, to create the right prompts. So write a very detailed prompt saying, this is what I have. You're going to use the report first. If the report doesn't exist, you're going to run this test. So basically, spend time writing the prompt, and then Claude help you to write the skills. The skills are in the public repo. Feel free to look at it. If anyone has recommendations to make them better, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm always interested because that's how I've written skills too, and I've talked to a bunch of people that are like, how do you even do that? And it's like, well, you can kind of just tell Claude to do it for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now that we have AI, we can do so. One of the things I found AI useful too, documentation. You know how long it took us to write documentation and document? Like I said, documentation. My second favorite, PHP unit test. How long did it took to write test for custom module? Even like we have sites using Behat test, even those that are human, like they're easy to read. Like as a developer, I should be able to log in and I should be able to click this link. Even those that are easy to write, it will take a considerable amount of time to write, right? We have.
Well, I always find with Behat test that if I try to write it in actual human language, I end up running into things that the Behat tests aren't configured to actually do yet, and then require me to like go down a Behat rabbit hole of building some new function so that it supports a particular type of task that I want it to do.
Exactly. And then you have to write the custom, functionality to make the test work with your behind the scene, because we're actually testing workflows with the Behat test. So this is the AI reply. This is the one find it. It said you can fix this. So I just say, go ahead, fix it. And then the thing is going to use the remediate, fix it for me. When it finishes, then you can rerun the Drush utest lint to see if, do we have less number of errors and linting issue for that module? So it's going. There you go. So this is where AI is pretty handy to fix linting issues. And of course, you have to review it. Don't trust the AI. Do not trust all the results. Be sure, let's put it this way. You're automating things. If you have access to AI, you can use it to facilitate the work. But ultimately, you need to be the one reviewing every change, every code change, and be sure everything is correct and that is going to work. And you do the manual test.
The way that I've been thinking about using AI as a coding assistant is to just assume AI is like an unruly child. That needs like maybe not constant supervision, but frequent supervision because they're going to try to find loopholes. It's going to try to find ways around doing the thing that you asked it to do. It's basically going to try to get out of doing more work. And so you need to have that amount of like attention and like guardrails around what it's doing in order to make sure that the product, the thing that it actually outputs, is actually of a decent quality.
Yes. So let's see. And just type in some regular prompt and see the same pick out the skill that it needs to. I even did a typo. AI should be smart enough to know, this.
Oh yeah, I typo all my prompts to Claude. It still manages to figure it out. So I haven't I've stopped bothering to try to fix my spelling errors.
So that's so they only fix one issue.
Mm.
So let's see the report. While I'm fixing anything that was there, and we're just testing if the AI is going to figure it out. Okay, do I need to look at it? Didn't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It fits something else. So see, there you go. That's where you review
Mm-hmm.
the AI. So now it's calling the remediation skill. Look at it, didn't pick up the module, so that's the.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good example. A good example how you cannot trust the AI. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw it was fixing the issues, it didn't.
Well, it's hilarious too because especially when you're live demoing something like this, where like you can do this on the side in preparation for a live demo like this, and it will work perfectly fine. And then you do the exact same thing with the exact same prompts at different time, and because AI is non-deterministic, it does a completely different thing. And now it's like, I don't know what you're talking about today. Like what module? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's a good example. And you can see here while the AI was working, I was checking my lint and I say, oh, true, this thing is still returning the errors.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at my report, see, I still have errors. That means it didn't fit actually the code. So now what I say, okay, this is showing the errors, it's running the linting with the skills. Let's see if the remediate module does the work. So now reading the JSON file, you can see here how the skill is picking up the JSON.
Mm.
And it's saying no behavior. It's saying 2 issues, fix the errors and warnings. So it fixed 1 error supposedly. It's say the markdown lint issues. And just saying fix also the errors.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a. So
Sometimes
anyway,
I end up yelling at my Claude when it seems like it's not doing the thing that I asked it to do.
So if you don't have the AI, again, use your resource from the test suite to review, the issues and fix it. So anyway, while the AI is going, I don't know if anyone has any question. This is what you get. You fix it, and then you can push it to GitHub, open your PR, let the test run there. Everything is good, everything is working, nothing breaks, release it. So what
I
we're
feel
doing.
like for linting definitely, and also for accessibility, pulling AI into, or like Claude Code or Codex or whatever, into the workflow is a really uh, easy way to like just get that stuff taken care of, especially because like you have, it's like a perfect storm of like the right sort of conditions for LLMs to be able to act productively on a thing, because like you have the raw data, you have a JSON file, you have an actual markup, whatever, and you can give it exactly what it's what you need it to have.
Okay, so I'm back to the live stream. I don't know if anyone has any questions. So the important here is test early. Try to catch the issues before they are pushed to that many sites, because that's what happened to us. We noticed in the reports I improve. Oh shoot, this 500 site has the same issue. They're not passing the accessibility checks. And then the test suite is in GitHub. It's open. It's generic. The accessibility test can be probably used for WordPress, any other system you have, you can probably adapt it as long as you have a URL and a sitemap. You can run the test suite. Code quality is different because that one is targeting, the Drupal codes. Drush commands only for Drupal. On their examples for the CI, there is some placeholder code. So if you're using GitLab or Circle CI, you can try to adapt it to your project. Doesn't mean this is the final. Again, you have to make it work with whatever setup you have, whatever infrastructure you are using. But the GitHub Pantheon has a full automation implemented, which is the one we're using. Under examples, the Drupal AI skills. You have the skills, the prompts, the agents, how to download. The whole test suite is download. It's just copy locally, and here I explain what you need to do. These are the different files you need to copy. And the disclaimer, again, this was developed for our specific use case, but it can be adapted for any of your needs.
Well, thanks for coming on, Elda, and showing us all this. This is like we were talking before we went live. Like I get super nerdy about CI. I see 277 viewers. So like obviously there's 277 other people that are also getting nerdy about CI. And it's really cool to see like the sort of full workflow of like, running the test locally, pushing it up to GitHub, having the test run there, and then when you have the reports, like what do you do with the reports? Well, we have these skills that can actually act on these reports now and actually fix those problems. So it's a really cool way to see that whole sort of life cycle. Um, we shared the link. Find this test suite on the UCSB GitHub, and I'll pop that up again just for everyone to grab it. But and yeah, where can people find you, Elda, if they so desired? On the internets.
Slack, Pantheon Slack, or you can send me an email. I can probably paste my email in Pantheon Slack. You will find me. And always in Slack and Pantheon channels.
Well, thanks again, Elda. Thank you, everyone who is watching this live, or anybody who pops in the future. And we'll see you on the internet.
Thank you, Chris. Bye.